Okay, so now we're going to talk about horizontal shifts. And if you think about vertical shifts moving up and down, horizontal shifts move left or right. Now, I'm going to give you an example because these work a little bit differently. So let's say we have the function f of x equals x minus 3 squared. And you're like, oh, I want to graph this. So you're going to make a table of values maybe. And so you're putting in like -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. We do that a lot. So you put in -2 and you get -2 minus 3 squared, which is -5 squared, which is 25. And now you're like off the charts, right? -225 is going to be like way up there someplace. So you put in -1. And you get 16. Okay, well, you know, you're getting closer, right? And then you put in 0, and you get 9. Okay, well, at least now we're on the piece of graph paper there. And then you put in 1, and you get 4, right? 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you put in 2, and you get 1. Okay. And then you're like, okay, well, it was a squaring function, so we thought it would be some kind of parabola, but right now I just have all these points going like, kind of like this, and it's not really showing me the parabola. But what if I put in 0? Well, if I put in 0, I'm going to get, oh, not 0, we already did 0, sorry, my bad. What if I put in 3? Then I'm going to get 0. Okay, so there's that point. What happens if I put in 4? Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't write out the 3, but 3 minus 3 would be 0, and you square it, you get 0. Now what happens if you put in 4? Well, you're going to get 1. Now, do you see how that's starting to match up? So you get a 1 here, and then you get, if you were to put in 5, you'd get 4, and if you put in 6, you're going to get 9. That's where the parabola is right there. Okay? And you could extend that if you wanted to, but it's shifting your old parabola. So our old basic common parabola, I'm going to put this in orange. The basic one, 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like this. And now we do actually get the basic parabola, but it has shifted 3 units to the right. Okay? Now notice that that was -3, and it was shifting 3 units right. Okay, so that might be surprising to you. Okay, so here's the rule. It says if you have g of x equals f of x minus c, then that's going to shift c 2 units to the right. Okay, so if you have a function and before you apply the function you're subtracting a number, that's going to shift it to the right. So what's happening is you're actually moving your origin over to where, in this case, it was 3 minus 3, because that's when you get the 0. And that's where the parabola starts changing from decreasing to increasing. Okay. If you have h of x equals f of x plus c, and by the way, this is c is still greater than 0, okay, then it's going to shift c units to the left. Okay, so if it's positive, it's going left. If it's negative, it's going to the right. Okay, that's kind of weird, right? Okay, but that's how it works. I have another piece of graph paper here because I don't know why. Okay, I could show you another example, I guess. So they want us to use the graph of, and we're going to do our square root function. So our square root function, again, we need to get familiar with these, 2, 3, 4. Our square root function looks like that. And now they want us to graph this function, g of x. Okay, so this was f of x. And now to use the transformations, what we want to do is we want to think about, well, what is that plus 5 going to do? Now notice it is not the square root of x plus 5 like this. This would be a vertical shift. It would shift up 5 units. Okay, that'd be different. But you're actually adding the 5 and then you're taking the square root of it. Okay, that's the difference right there. So this is going to shift to the left 5. Okay, so I just pick up all my points and I move them to the left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's going to look like that. As well as I can draw anyway. Okay, so that's what happens with a horizontal shift. Okay, now if you're like, well, I don't really believe you, you know, kind of thing, you could make a little table of values. I mean, let's see what we're putting in. We're putting in -5, right? Well, when you put in -5, then you have the square root of -5 plus 5, which, okay, that's the square root of 0. That's 0, right? All right. And then we're putting in like -4. So -4 plus 5. Well, that's the square root of 1. So yeah, that's 1. And then so on and so forth. You could do the table of values. Okay.